Because by knowing where it is that your trouble spots happen, knowing that these are the places that send you off track, then you can start making a plan for how you're going to be successful the next time it happens. Because it's going to happen again. I'm here outside in my Tanzanian yard. Today I am talking about celebrating failure, or turning failures into successes, turning your failure into successes so that you can start thriving on your vegan lifestyle. And for me, this is actually, I think, one of the most important things, one of the most important skills that will help you make the transition to eating vegetarian, to eating vegan, eating plant-based, something that works in your life and is satisfying to you. So the first thing I want to say is that many of us have a fear of failure. Probably most of us have a fear of failure. And it's the #1 killer of grand plans, great ideas, and the things that you want to do in life is fear that you're going to fail. What does that say about me if I fail? It may cause you to just sort of half-step it. You start something, but you don't really give it your all. You say, oh, okay, I'm going to do this, but you're half-stepping. Or you get started, you start off great guns, and then that little voice in the back of your head comes in and says, like, who do you think you are? Or what if this happens, or somebody might say something to me? And then even though you've been doing good, you pull back because that little fear voice in the back of your head comes at you. And then we might stop at the first sign of trouble. So you're doing okay, and then someone comes at you saying, well, what about that fried chicken? Or who do you think you're so good, you're too good to eat this? Something happens and it sends you back, and you're back to where you started from. You have that causes the fear of rejection, of failure, whatever, to come up, and you stop. So for a lot of people, paralysis is really caused by fear. So if you've been at this for a while, you've been trying to do this, think about that. What are you afraid of? What fears do you have that are stopping you, that are holding you back? So we've all learned that fear is bad. It's shameful. It shows, that you're lacking in some way. It causes us to hide our failures. How many times have you failed at something and then you stop? You stop trying. Or not you stop, but you hide it. You won't mention it to anybody. You act like it didn't happen. Or you make excuses for it. Well, it wasn't my fault. I couldn't do it. It was their fault. It was, this stressful situation. It was my family. They're not vegan. Whatever. You make excuses for why it didn't work. And then you just stop taking risks. You stop trying because you don't want to fail anymore. You don't want that feeling, that bad feeling that happens when you fail. So failure, though, isn't really bad. I don't think. I think failure is one of the fastest ways, the best ways to learn. Think about a baby learning to walk. If they crawl along, they try to get up, and then they fall down. Now, if they were to give up because they failed, we'd all be sitting on our butts and not moving. But no, they learn. Okay, if I do that, I fall over. If I do this, I stand up. If I hold on here, that's better. So they learn by failing and trying again and making adjustments. And the same thing can work for you in terms of making your plant-based lifestyle work. If you use your failures to learn how to be successful. So that's really what we're talking about today. So another example is learning to speak Swahili. I'm learning to speak Swahili. And yesterday I was trying to talk to somebody and there was a word I was trying to say. I'm sorry you had to wait. I knew the word for wait, subiri, but I couldn't say it. I couldn't pull it up. But now, just that whole process of having to look it up in my Google Translate and struggle with it, it's more and more embedded into my memory. And there's been other times like that where it's those experiences of failing, of struggling, that have helped to ingrain words, phrases, concepts into my brain in terms of Swahili. In terms of cooking, I mean, we've all had recipe flops, I'm sure. And those can be wonderful learning experiences. So, like, oh, these two spices don't go together, or I don't like them anyway. So then it changes how I cook things. So those are just a few quick examples, and we'll go some more into details as we go along of how you can use your failures to make success, be successful in your vegan lifestyle. So we need to think of failure as a stepping stone to the lifestyle that we want. What is it that we are aiming for? What is your goal? And how can you look at your failures as stepping stones to get there? So that's the mindset shift that we need to make. So what happened? So I failed. I've had a dinner flop, or I've gone out to dinner with my friends and ended up eating stuff I knew I shouldn't eat and that I didn't really want to eat. Or I've had a really stressful day at work and I've come home, stopped at some fast food place on the home and grabbed a big fat juicy burger. So these are all failures. So how can we turn those into successes? So first thing I would say is to not blame others. Don't blame other people. And, don't forget the chat box. If you have a comment, a question, please feel free to type it in the box and I'll answer as we go along. So with that failure, it's very tempting to blame somebody else. And maybe somebody else did indeed have a contributing factor. But you also have contributing factors. You have the power of choice. You have decision places that you can make. You don't have to let those things, those people, those situations throw you off. So don't just blame others. Where did you contribute? So with the dinner flop, you can blame it. The recipe, was this a bad recipe? Or you could, that one's a little bit, it's not so much about blaming others. That one's not easy for that. Is not really, that part isn't as important for that one. But for dinner out with your friends, or going at eating out with family, you can say, they made me do it. It wasn't my fault. They pressured me. They waved all this stuff in front of me. It wasn't my fault. They did it to me. So how can you say, what was my contributing part? This is where you need to examine what happened. What are the things that you contributed? One, I went and I was starving. Number two, I was afraid of causing a scene, so I didn't want to say anything. So this is the second, really the second part of fixing, not fixing, but turning your failure into success, is to examine what happened. What were the trouble spots? What were the turning spot points? Where could you have made a different choice? Or what could you have done to prepare, knowing that those trouble spots are likely to happen? And then, a third thing is to think about how are you talking to yourself? Oh wait, let me go back to that stressful day. So I could say, yeah, I dinner out with friends, I was starving, I didn't want to cause a scene. With a stressful day, what are the things that the decision points that you said you could have made a different choice? So maybe there was somebody, your boss or some client or somebody you're on the phone with, that was like blah, 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 putting their, hurry up, I need this, blah blah blah, they got this, and this thing is happening right now and I need you to, so do you have to let his, her, their fires, their emergency become your emergencies? Does what they believe, what they're saying, do you have to buy into that? Do you need to let his energy become your energy? That's a place you might be able to make a choice. Maybe another one is, have you taken time to take a break, to get away from the desk, from your phone, whatever, so that you are getting the chance to refocus your mind, to rest, recoup, meditate, whatever, so that you're in a better space to be able to deal. So examine what happened. And then, so in terms of what are you talking to yourself, how are you talking to yourself for the dinner flop? Are you saying to yourself, oh, I'm a horrible cook, I'll never get this right, I can't, I just can't cook, I can't do it. Or with the dinner out with friends, do you say, I'm just so weak, I'm a loser, I have no willpower, I'm a wimp? What are you saying to yourself, and how can you change those into more powerful, more positive statements? For your stressful day, are you saying, are you feeling like you're a victim? Are you saying, oh, I deserve a treat? Are you saying, these people just push my buttons. I'm doing fine. If it wasn't for these other people, I wouldn't, it's not me. So what are you saying to yourself that's enabling you to continue in the same vein, the same failure aspect, the same failure patterns? So then look at where you've had successes before. Have you been in other situations similar that you had successes, that you didn't have failure? So with the dinner, what recipes have you made that were successful? So maybe this one, it was too salty, it was overcooked, you don't like quinoa, whatever it is, this recipe just was a failure. So how can you this time, so if I made this other recipe before and it was pasta, how can you take something from that experience and apply it to this other recipe? Can you swap the pasta for the quinoa? What was some of the seasonings and spices that you used that you could put in this one that you like? So what can you learn from your success that you can apply to those failure situations? With the dinner out with friends, maybe you have another time with being successful where you went out to a restaurant with friends, but you got to choose where you were going to eat. And you were able to choose something, a place where you knew you'd find something you love to eat. So what are the things that you can take from that experience that you can apply to another experience that will help you be able to avoid eating things you don't want to eat. Maybe can you be involved with, and so then the next part would be, how can you take those experiences of success and apply it the next time? So how can, maybe the next time you all are going out to lunch or dinner, you can suggest some places. Or maybe you can go on the internet and look at the menu of where you're going and find the things that you know are going to be good and get that in your mind that that's what you're going to eat, so that you're not so much tempted. Or if you were starving when you got there, how about you eat something before you go, so that you aren't like so hungry that your willpower and your resolve is hard. It's harder to keep in place. On your stressful day, how can you? So maybe another time you had better boundaries. You can think of a time where you were able to say to these people, I'm sorry, but I really just can't do this right now. I have written it down here, and I'll get to it at this time. I'll have time to do it, but I really can't focus on this right now, or whatever it is. How have you in the past handled similar situations that this time sent you off to, using Uber Eats and getting the cheeseburger? How have you handled it in the past that you were able to stay on track and use those skills? And then the last thing would be to really get help. You aren't in this alone. So with the dinner flop, one of the things I like to do with recipes is go and look at a bunch of different recipes. So this one, it doesn't look so good to me, but this one, so I'm looking at how to make, some kind of salad, or I don't know, pasta, some kind of pasta dish. And I find one recipe, I like a little bit of it, but not everything. And I find another recipe, well, I like some other things about that. Maybe I find 2 or 3 recipes that I can pick and choose a little bit from here and here. So I'm getting help from other recipe books. Or you might have a friend who, one of my good friends, we often would be making things out of the same recipe book, and she would say, oh, I did this, I didn't do that, I did this, blah, 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 blah. And so she and I would kind of tag team and try different recipes and help each other out. So how can you get help? Hi, Kirk. I see you there. Good to see you. For your dinner out with friends, maybe there's someone in the group that you can talk to beforehand and say, look, here's the situation. I really want to go. I'm planning to come, but I'm worried that XYZ is going to happen. Can you be my backup? Can you help me stay on track? So how can you get someone that's in the group to help you stay, or even the whole group? Say, hey, y'all, I'm coming, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I'm trying to do. I'm eating vegan now because XYZ. I'm trying to lose weight. I have high blood pressure. I want to get off my medication. I need your support. So please don't try to push me into eating meat. Whatever it is you need to do, ask for their help. For your stressful days, know that stressful days happen. And so this might be some internal help, is delete that Uber Eats app off of your phone, and bring something healthy to eat, or go online and find some healthy alternatives, so that when you are tempted to use that Uber Eats app or go through the driveway, that you can go to nowadays there's all kinds of vegan restaurants around, or many restaurants have really delicious vegan options. So have that in your brain already. Here's where I can go. So you're going to get the help of the vegan restaurants or the vegan options around. Or maybe there's somebody at the office that you can go to when you're really stressed out and just blow off some steam with them, so that you're less likely to just grab those French fries and burgers or whatever. Any questions, comments? Any of this resonate? Does it sound familiar? Can you see how this might help? So you can type it in the comment box. But so I want to just sort of start to wrap up by saying we all fail. We all fail. It's part of life. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to fear. And the only real failure, I'm sure you've probably heard, is, you know, is if you, the only failure is if you fail to keep going. So fail to success. Okay, I failed here. I'm going to take the next step forward and the next step forward until I get to where I'm going. Don't stop trying. Don't stop trying. So I challenge you to get out your journal. And if you don't have a journal, you need to get a journal, because this is going to be a key part of your success. And in your journal, I want you to write down a couple of times that you can remember from your past where you have failed forward, where you have failed, and use that failure experience to bring you closer to reaching your goals. So you're going to write 2 or 3 times that you failed forward. The next thing I want you to write down is really, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of happening if you fail? Write down what you feel failing means to you, whether it's in general or related to your healthy diet and lifestyle. What does it mean? What does it say about you? And then can you turn those things into positive instead? What is a different message you can tell yourself rather than, I'm weak? What's another message you can tell yourself? Like, I'm not weak. I'm strong, and I'm persistent, and I'm going to keep trying until I get it. So how can you turn those messages, that self-talk, around? And then I would like for you to look at a recent failure that you've had in terms of your diet and lifestyle. And this is something that you should be doing in your journal anyway. Is if in your journal you are keeping track of what's going on in your day, what you're eating, and what's gone good and what's gone wrong. And then with those things that have gone wrong, I want you to really look at, so I want you to backtrack now for the last week or so and find a recent failure around your healthy lifestyle and use what we've talked about here to turn that failure into success. Look at it and see where are what were you telling yourself? What was the self-talk? Were you blaming somebody else? How did you push the responsibility for your failure onto somebody else? Examine what happened and see where were the decision places, where were the things that you could have done before the event, during the event, when you're talking to somebody, where are the places that you could have made a different decision and things would have come out better. You would have been able to have a successful outcome. And then make yourself a plan for the next time what you will do. Next time I will make sure that I don't go hungry. Next time I will make sure that I always have a healthy snack in my desk so that when I'm feeling like, I just got to get I need a treat, that you have a healthy treat that you can nibble on that will help soothe you at the moment. Whatever it is that you need to do so that next time, because you know it's going to happen again, and this is the key to your success. Because by knowing where it is that your trouble spots happen, knowing that these are the places that send you off track, then you can start making a plan for how you're going to be successful the next time it happens. Because it's going to happen again. If not the exact same thing, something similar. So I would love to hear about your successes, your failures, and I want us to celebrate those failures as the keys to our success. So make a comment here, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, or make a whole separate a post in the Facebook group, in the Black Vegan Academy group, with a failure, how you're going to turn your failures into success. Even say, today I failed at blah, 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 blah. Here's how I'm going to turn that into a success. And let's celebrate each other and support each other during this process of failing towards success. Turning our failures into success. So I think that's it for now. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. So this has been fun. I hope you have enjoyed it as well and learned something. Please give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Goodbye, kwaheri, as we say in Swahili, and I'll see you the next time.